Sri Ram says, by this process of Neti Neti, not this, elimination, the process of elimination, you should try to find out what exactly the Atma is, thus scrutinizing the world, which is a mixture of good and evil. Take its essence and discard the rest, just as you throw away the seed of a ripe mango after taking its sweet juice. The Atma has no birth or death, it has no childhood, youth, or old age. So here Sri Ram is asserting something which is very intrinsic to the Upanishadic vision. Neti Neti, elimination. Take the essence, discard the rest. That is the only way of finding reality. Else we waste our lives in pursuit of the trivial. You see, this minimalism, this idea of doing away with what is untrue, automatically reveals the truth. This is the beauty of this whole art of Neti Neti. And it has been used as a tool for thousands of years in Vedanta. The idea being that the truth is at the core. If you just chip away at the falsehood surrounding the truth will be found. You don't have to do anything at all. You have to chip away at the falsehood, the conditioning, the wrong notions around the truth. The core, the nucleus is there already. And by, as you discard the peripheral untruth, you come to the core truth. So that is the whole beauty of this process of Neti Neti, and it has been used by rishis, munis. In fact, Gautam Buddha also used to profess it as a very intrinsic part of the Buddhist search. Nagarjuna, the great Buddhist mystic, used to assert Neti Neti a lot. It simply means that when untruth is stripped away, like the untruth is stripped away from the core, what you are left with is the essential. In a way, it's like what Michelangelo said about his art of sculpture. Somebody asked him, how do you create such beautiful sculpture? He says, nothing. I just take a rock, I just take the marble, that piece of marble, and I chip away at what is unessential. And when I chip away at what is unessential, the sculpture comes on its own. So the whole grace, the totality is existing at the core. We have to get rid of the surrounding untruth. When we do that, we are left with the intensity of the truth. The untruth evaporates, as it were, and we come into a passionate relationship with that is true, with what is true. In a modern sense, it can be called minimalism. You see, it's a tool which Steve Jobs, for example, used. He said, let's discard what we don't need. So he was very famous for going into retreats with his people, and people had to give in their ideas for the next phase of Apple products. So people used to list all their ideas, and he used to just cross out, if they made a list of 12, he used to cross out the last 9, and he used to just say, okay, we'll do these 3. You have to get rid of that excess baggage, what is not needed, because it doesn't add to anything. It rather burdens you with thought. It makes our lives a hodgepodge. It makes our lives a confusion. To develop clarity, you have to get rid of your blinkers which you wear around your eyes. That is what Neti Neti does. It gets rid of your tinted glasses. All of us are looking at the world through tinted glasses, through our own conditioning, through our own socio-cultural conditioning, our educational conditioning, our religious conditioning, and so on and so forth. Get rid of that, and then you transcend the relative. You come to the absolute. So Sri Ram is saying something very intensely Vedantic in nature. He's saying that to see the eternity, to see the timelessness of the soul, you have to throw away the seeds, like you throw away the seed of a mango after taking its sweet juice. So forget the notion of the birth or death of the Atma. It has no childhood, youth, or old age. It is timeless. It shines in a divine glory. But as long as you hold on to the unessential, you are prevented from seeing the divine glory. Take the nectar, take the fragrance remains. Take the essential oil from the seed, as it were, and then the seed is dry, you don't need it, it can be thrown. And in fact, only if you throw it can it actually be of some use to the world. Maybe something will come out of it, maybe it'll fall on the right soil. So, really, as a value in life itself, this value of finding something inner at the innermost requires us to discard the outermost. And then you come to the heartbeat of reality, then you come to the true meaning of reality. You come to the true meaning of the aesthetic, hidden behind all the layers of the onion, as it were. You see, when you discover that you can get rid of the unessential, it brings about a great deal of freedom. It's called uncluttering your life. So, at a very practical level, also, it's an idea of uncluttering, decluttering all that we don't need. And in any true path of meditation, like for example, Zen Buddhism in Japan, it's all about getting rid of that which is unessential, sticking to the most natural, the most basic. And in that itself is beauty, in that itself is value. The more and more we load a thing, the less its intrinsic power, the less its intrinsic beauty, the less its intrinsic aesthetic. So the Zen arts are all about minimalism. They're all about stripping away all sorts of style, all sorts of learning, all sorts of conditioning. So when the haiku is being written, it is directly as if something is writing through the pen, and that comes onto that rice paper. Or in the art of painting, it is like the painter is not even there, has completely dissolved, and then the painting comes in a truly blissful way, in a truly joyous way. Or in the art of archery, the archer is removed. In other words, the mind of the archer is removed, and simply his hands are working, his consciousness is alive in the moment, and the arrow has no choice but to find its mark. So this was the way of Neti Neti, which has been actually transmuted into various religious teachings around the world. Sacred teachings, not so much religious teachings. Religion actually keeps imposing new and new rituals, because the people in power, the people in with a vested interest, maybe the priesthood or whoever, wants to load it with many rituals, with many ideas about what should be done, what shouldn't be done, and so on. Those are power games. At its essential, it's all about coming back to the basics. And coming back to the basics creates a feeling of great freedom within us. It creates a feeling of great value for that which is intrinsically real, and not the jumble of things which are being laden onto the real thing. It's like a diamond covered with mud. You can't see the beauty of the diamond. But if you wash away the mud, only will you see the beauty of the facets of the diamond reflecting the light in brilliant colors. So to reflect the light of the cosmic panorama of colors, eventually you also have to wash away those layers of conditioning, those layers of prejudice, those layers of anger, hatred, and so on, which we all wear as a kind of a guard against the world, as an armor. Strip away our own armor and stand naked. And that is your essential nature. That is the nature of your soul. That is when you can shine with your intrinsic flame. That is when you can reflect the light of the greater to your greatest ability, just like a diamond does. You see, there's a very interesting event in Rabindranath Tagore's life where he talks about how he was on his boat in the middle of a lake trying to write poetry, and he had a lantern on, you see, and he was not being able to write, but suddenly he had the impulse to turn the lantern off. He turned the lantern off and he realized that the lake was flooded with moonlight, and that itself gave him inspiration. So he realized that this itself, this negation of this artificial lantern which he had carried with him, and this man-made device which was giving him light, the moment he eliminated that from the process, he was left with the natural energy, the natural grace of Prakriti or nature, and that itself nourished him, and he was able to compose something very deep that night. So, in that way, Neti Neti is a value which applies not only in spirituality but in any pursuit in life. And in fact, that is the new paradigm of excellence. You look at the new theories of efficiency in life, in all aspects. It is a question of doing away with the unessential, stripping away that which is not required, and sticking to the basics. So this has been taken to be the work aesthetic of this new age of artificial intelligence that we are moving into. You see, where we were encouraged to buy automobiles, for example, now the idea in the more advanced economies is that if you don't can do without a vehicle of your own, do without it. There are other options. So that is a process of decluttering your life. Similarly, in terms of relationship, in terms of parenting, there are so many good, positive moves being made where the idea is that we are not to clutter our children's lives also with too many material things, for example. Especially in an age when we have so many distractions, so many entertainments, and so on. So you see, this process, the things Sri Ram talks about are actually very timeless in nature. He talks about some fundamental values. And these fundamental values are the bedrock of Vedanta. Vedanta, that way, transcends all sociocultural situations, time constraints. It is thousands of years old, but it always seems fresh. And why does it seem fresh? Because it works. Its principles work. Its principles take us towards greater efficiency, a feeling of greater energy, an understanding of our basic essential consciousness instead of identifying with the things of the world and so on. And that way, it is extremely nourishing. It is extremely exciting. It is extremely revolutionary in making our lives full of great energy, where we can sing our songs to the best of our ability without going crazy, without going neurotic with too many distractions in the world. So our inner power, our mind power, our inner power, the power of heart and soul, the power of compassion, the power of empathy, the power of connecting, the power of grace, the power of love, the power of bliss and joy within ourselves are all a product of this idea of Neti Neti, elimination. The idea where you keep the essential, you stick to the essential, you chip away at what is not needed, and what you're left with has the nature of the vast, the sublime, the all blissful, the Atma itself.